Hello and welcome back to the LCS Dome, powered by Alienware, where we're getting Saturday going with a little bit of LCS Countdown. I'm Dash here with Crumbs, Prolly, and Mark to kick things off following a couple games on Friday Night League. How you gents doing this fine Saturday morning?
I gotta talk about your haircut, dude. What? Is that a little
part? Not a haircut, bro.
Hairstyle.
This is the lack of a haircut. That's what this is. The hair has finally reached an unmanageable state, so you get what you get.
NSYNC called, they want their look back.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, you can't speak. You were wearing
NSYNC called, they want their jacket back, Mark.
Jean jacket.
NSYNC was a big deal, and any one of us would have jumped at the opportunity to be a part of that group. I'm just going to say that, all right? Let's get into it. Let's get into our LCS business for the weekend. Yesterday's games had TSM and CLG moving up slightly in the standings, while Cloud9, Evil Geniuses, and Team Liquid remain the only undefeated teams going into today's games. Let's talk about some of those matchups we saw yesterday, in particular TSM showing.
I was super impressed with Speak Up. For somebody that came out with a 23-minute transformation Kane game, and before that was strictly on Sejuani duty, his Lee Sin was really clean, not only invading early, which took a lot of coordination between the solo lanes and then going for the tower dive, but then with a lot of kick flashes, relentless pressure. I've had high hopes for him looking forward if this is the level that he can deliver.
Yeah, I also thought Doublelift looked really good. It was like the first 2020 that looked like 2019 Doublelift game. He was flying in there on Kai'Sa, being super aggressive. He even didn't flash once just to really solidify that this is Doublelift back on form. But he did look really good, and I was super impressed by him.
And I mean, I definitely gotta say though, like week one, we had so many correct predictions. I had so much confidence going into this week. But then yesterday with the Prophet Crumbs video, I'm terrified to make predictions now.
Yeah, and Prophet Crumbs fell yesterday, in fact, because of one of our game results, so no longer stands a perfect
record. You didn't
pick
CLG?
But my stocks are still good. Listen, I had a lot to do yesterday. I was busy typing around.
Oh, you messed it up
Golden
too,
Guardians
thank God.
would have learned to draft better, but clearly they did not get the memo.
Yeah, no, Crumbs is a busy man. He's a busy man with his finances and his predictions, so we'll let one slide through in that sense. But with a couple games under our belts, I think it's time to vet a few very reasonable statements in another edition of Overreaction. So I'm going to throw out a statement. It's up to these three analysts to determine whether or not it is an overreaction. First one's first. CLG are back, baby.
Not an overreaction for me. I thought they looked really good.
Okay.
They had one terrible draft, which was in their loss, and it looked like they got perfect game, and it started with a meme. But now they've won 2 games. I think that they can keep picking them up. I don't think like a 500 record or something is out of the question at all.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Ooh.
CLG's drafting is back because, yeah, Mark, like you said, they're not doing a 4-man poke comp or something, but this is not back yet. Winning 2 games does not mean CLG is back. We need a lot more for them.
What do you count as back then? Like, what record is back for CLG?
Yeah, how many wins, probably?
I need at least 2 more weeks of a 1-1 record, minimum.
Okay, 2 more weeks of a 1-1 record.
Once we get to, once they get to like 4 wins or something like that, and 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I think we can start saying they're back.
So you want them to eclipse their spring wins within the first round robin of Summer Split?
Yeah, otherwise, how do we know they're back? They might just be hiding under the 4-win barrier.
By looking at their play.
I love it. High bar.
They look better.
Mark, high bars here at the LCS. Let's go. Second overreaction of the day. All teams not named Cloud9 are just battling for second.
Oh, no. This is just plain wrong. First of all, there are 2 teams that are at least competing for the bottom 2 from the bottom up. I'm talking about the teams that are looking in yellow. You know who these guys are. They're not going to be competing for second. This is already wrong.
I like you've interpreted this totally backwards. It's supposed to be like C9 are so good that no one's in their category. But I think Crumbs actually, with that line of logic, has flipped me around. I was going to say not an overreaction, but it's totally an overreaction to say all teams not named C9 are battling for second.
Oh, I like it. Getting into the syntax there, but he found the error in our sentence and calls it, well, an overreaction. This one courtesy of Bjergsen from yesterday and his performance in the mid lane. Middle sticks is greater than jungle sticks.
I'm going to have to say yes here. It looked pretty good. We got to see it only in 1 game. We haven't seen much jungle fiddlesticks yet, but the mid fiddle fits this weird niche of mid lane that makes it so much more powerful than jungle, where it just feels kind of like another jungler.
Yeah, if you saw how he played it, he has to basically drain the wave level 1, and then because you have Aftershock and you're going to be able to fear level 2, it's really scary for somebody to contest you in the wave if you have an early game jungler like they had with the Lee Sin. So you have to basically let him shove the wave, and if you're good enough to coordinate and invade off of that, you can take that fiddle power in the mid lane, transition it all over the jungle, and suddenly you're strong way pre-6 than the jungle fiddlesticks right now. That's usually reliant on just flash fearing and getting you behind that way.
Yeah, we saw with his push out early on, able to invade the jungle. Didn't get a ton for it, but already glimpses of some of the ingenuity that you can display on this champion. Our fourth and final overreaction of the day is Volibear is overpowered, but North America will be behind the curve in picking this champion up or realizing its potential.
Well, what strikes me about this is that Academy played earlier, and they already played Volibear. So why the LCS teams are not picking it up as quickly as the Academy teams is beyond me, but I think they'll at least catch on to this one, but there's just so many more picks in the top lane right now.
Yeah, I mean, Rune did play it, and he looked really great on it, so I'm kind of leaning towards like not an overreaction about Volibear potentially being OP. And I'm not sure if NA being behind the curve is, because I don't know if Rune represents the entirety of like the North American meta. He's always had the largest champion pool, and he's always been one of the fastest guys to pick up Kale and these other things. So I might have to side with both points. I'm not sure yet.
I mean, first half, right? Volibear's OP is like, don't know yet. Still need more. I think it's strong. So that one, overreaction for sure. But NA will be behind the curve, I think is a fair reaction. I think we're very far behind when it comes to top lane picks. And I still think bot lane picks, like we didn't see the Syndra in spring. We're still not really seeing it much right now. So I'm going to say 50-50 on this one.
Okay, all right, so still a little split there, but I guess it's up to our teams this weekend to tell us one way or the other if they're up to speed on the Volibear meta. We are going to step away for just a brief moment, but don't go anywhere, because more Countdown is coming up after this. Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, where we're turning a closer eye to a couple of pros and our players to watch for this week. First up, we have the Golden Guardians jungler Closer, followed by Sven Skaren and Jizuke as a package deal for EG. Tactical slotting in for TL, and Meteos will round us out in our players to watch for 100 Thieves. But I'm coming to you first, Crumbs, on Closer.
Yeah, so when he came into spring, I already thought this guy looked amazing. He's going to be sick. I can't wait to see him develop. And now he has a new mid laner, and he got to play 3 games of carry jungler. So I already am thinking, great, the team knows how good he is. They're trying to set him up. The downside has been that the team compositions are not really built to make him shine. When you're drafting the Nidalees and the Graves, you want so much to revolve around your jungler that everybody has to switch their playstyles. I'm looking at those mid lane Karmas, those mid lane tanks, whether it's the jungle fiddlestick or mid fiddlesticks. That's the kind of pick that would really help Closer be a complete menace into the early game. So they should take notes of what TSM did early, apply it, and give it to Closer, because he can deliver. You just have to draft better around him.
From there, we take oh, go ahead, Mark.
No, I was gonna say I'm looking at another jungler actually, Sven Skaren, who's also on that list. He is someone who is one of the best people about giving up his body for the team, so to speak, and giving up his resources. He also is playing with Jizuke, who is someone who is very happy to take those resources. And you know, we saw in the Samsung Fast 5 that he was #1 in level 11 time. That's because Sven Skaren is doing a lot to set him up. And I am one of the people who's actually happy to see Jizuke being resource heavy. You know, he's not the kind of, I'm going to farm a lot and then sit back and do nothing with it. He's going to pop off with that. And when he's playing things like Corki and stuff, you can see how insane his damage numbers are. And it's just incredible when Jizuke gets fed, how aggressive he's willing to be, which is why when I say greedy player with him, it's not bad. It's 2 thumbs way up for his greedy play.
It's an interesting kind of conversation there, though. The idea that, you know, one player maybe statistically looks better, you know, out of the duo simply because of the way that their play styles work together. I guess my question to you probably would be, when looking at Sven and Jizuke as a duo, what then would be the metrics by which we consider Sven successful if statistically Jizuke is going to be the one who seems to benefit?
I think it's when they're actually able to sync up and pressure together. Because, yeah, I think Jizuke is going to be taking a lot of the jungle camps, and he's going to be taking bases that help him a lot. But there's still timings where you can communicate like when it's going to be perfect time to get these invades off. So I think it's a little bit more work for Sven to be able to work with that play style, but it's also a benefit for Sven because he knows he has such a talented mid laner that he's behind.
It's going to make for a very interesting 2v2 in our matchup today against Cloud9. We'll get into that in a little bit. But next up is Tactical on our list of players to watch. The young gun for Team Liquid. So far, a hot start for this squad.
Yeah, I gotta give him a lot of props. The Samsung SSD Fast 5, he was the first AD carry to be reaching 10k gold, beating out the person that he replaced, Double Lift. And TL coming into this split off of such a bad spring performance, we were really wondering kind of what their identity would be if they could still play around bot. And it looks like Tactical is going to be a carry for them, and he's actually going to be someone that can use the resources. So I'm pretty excited to see how they develop through the split.
It's really a blessing for him that he can come into a team with world champions. You've got world finalists in there, and all you have to do is just play Aphelios and have everybody peel for you. I'm liking his odds.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, he's up against 100 Thieves and Meteos today, our final player to watch. Kind of an opposite story here for 100 Thieves. A much tougher and rougher start for this squad, and in particular, Meteos.
Yeah, when Meteos and Ryoma were announced to be the mid-jungle for 100 Thieves, we knew they were going to have to work on that synergy. But unfortunately, in the opening games, it hasn't shown. It's been that Cloud9 really abused that. And I looked at every single moment of those 2 matches, and there was not a single play where Ryoma and Meteos teamed up to go for either vision, tower dives, or even something that was going after the same target together. And that's something they'll really have to shore up if they want to make those stats just balloon and actually get them some wins on the board, because every other team is playing around mid 2v2 and taking advantage of those little windows of desynchronization that 100 Thieves is showing.
Probably.
Do you not feel kind of, this feels a bit like our conversation we had in spring about 100 Thieves? I think this is the 5-head play, and they're just repeating how they did spring with a really slow start, Meteos Ryoma having problems, and then developing at the end of summer.
The one caveat I want to throw out there is that they did have the toughest strength of schedule week 1 based off, you know, preseason predictions and even end of season rankings. Last split they had C9 and EG, also both who we have as our best mid-jungle 2v2s probably in the league. So I do want to give them a little bit of space, and that's why they're good to watch, but I do need to see improvements from week 1.
Yeah, further supporting your point, Mark, is the fact that Team Liquid is also one of our top teams so far here in summer. So again, they get through some of maybe the tougher matchups here at the beginning of spring, and then probably maybe they'll hit their stride like you're talking about with a couple weeks to come. We're going to take another quick breather, when we return. It's more LCS Countdown. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, where we're gearing up for Game 1, which has Team Liquid versus 100 Thieves. Following that, TSM, they're going to face off against FlyQuest, and then we've got 2 more games before we call it a day. One important thing to note, though, is that Game 2, FlyQuest will be subbing in MASH as he faces off against Doubleless. A very surprising substitution from my point of view.
Yeah, this one's weird to me because MASH had a great start in Academy. They went 2-0, but just this week, he only played 1 game and watched her to play the the other. Mash's game, he was playing Senna, but not fasting Senna. He went AD Senna, which we've never really seen in a long time. And fasting Senna is clearly the superior way, and it didn't really do that much. So from that performance into getting subbed into the LCS roster is weird to me. But the team said that Mash and Wild Turtle are pushing each other to new heights. So maybe the competition is better for both in the end.
A little competition for the spot. My curiosity with these substitutions, obviously, is the impetus for it. And probably when I look at this, man, when I look at Wild Turtle and I look at Mash, I'm forced to ask the question, what does Mash bring to the table that Wild Turtle did not up to this point? Can we answer that question?
I don't think I can. I mean, definitely, I was a critic of Wild Turtle last split, where I wanted to see him more. Even though they finished second, I still thought like Wild Turtle could be doing more. But this substitution doesn't look like that. I don't see Mash as a player where I'm going to be able to give my resources and he's going to be this big carry. So I'm not really sure what they're looking for in the role of AD carry that Mash has and Turtle doesn't.
Yeah, when I think of Mash's best performances, a lot of times they're on things like Lucian or Tristana being aggressive and stuff like that. And that's a lot of what Turtle was already kind of known for as well. So it could be, we never know what's going on behind the scenes. So it could always be for that reason. But it could also just be that they think, based off that 2-0 that, Crumbs was referencing, Mash is playing a similar style, but just executing a little bit better. And they want to give him a shot in the LCS early in the season.
Well, we'll catch that in Game 2, and Mash will have his opportunity to show us what he's got. But reminder to stick around after tomorrow's matches for the after party on the Bud Light League Lounge, where I will be joined by Crumbs, Kobe, and Latigris to wrap up the weekend with a couple of buds. We had a blast last week with Raz and Azael. Just tons of fun, lots of laughs.
Yeah, that segment where we had to guess what the words were scrambled around.
The gibberish segment was so much fun.
Was fun. I like that.
And Azael was too good at that. Literal world champion, by the way. He got so many of them so quickly. But if you like a challenge and you like to play along, come join us on the Bud Light League Lounge tomorrow evening. Now, Game 3 of the day has a battle at the top of the standings as Cloud9 faces off against Evil Geniuses in what we're calling the battle for first. That's right. You've got the perennial powerhouses in Cloud9 and the defending champions from Spring Split up against EG, trying to fill the hole that has been left by FlyQuest.
Come on. That's some smooth brain talk right there. When you look at this match, what it really is about the Honda MVP versus the Honda MVP. They're both junglers. You couldn't have asked for a better match than one we've got right here. I mean, come on, look at these guys.
But that's not the whole story, dude, because at its core, what this match is really about is a revenge watch, because it's not just the fact that it's MVP versus MVP. That guy replaced the other one. Blabber came in and took Svenskaren's job, and then there's also Kumo coming over onto EG. There's also Zazla going over. This is about C9 and C9's, replacements going back at it again. And that's why I think this is the most important thing to talk about with this match, is the players going up against each other again, taking down their former organization.
Now, that's really not what it's about. What it's really about is the top lane and the tussle in the top lane. Kumo's been having a great performance this summer split so far, and Licorice obviously is the top laner to take down, so this is the time we get to see some good battles in the top.
Okay, we've all made some good points here, but we all know what this is really about. It's just going to be a fun game, guys.
You know what? You're right. It is. For all those above reasons, this is
disagree.
Going. You disagree? All right.
It's not going to be a fun game.
I don't, it's not going to be fun for maybe, the person who comes out on the losing end of the matchup. But you know who's going to win? Us. Us here who get to watch it and the viewers at home, because I think this promises to be an impressive game. You've got EG who started things off in the summer split with a perfect game of all things up against a Cloud9 that just seems to still be firing at the same level that they ended spring with.
I mean, the Cloud9 roster looks pretty nuts. Not going to lie, the fact that they came out swinging so hard in the first match is really exciting for me. And
Let's get into that, because I want to go back to a matchup that you talked about. You talked about Honda MVP versus Honda MVP. Blabber put on a show last week.
This is his match against FlyQuest, opening game. Now, he just goes for a standard full clear leashless on Olaf, but look at the timing at which he's going to hit level 4. He hits level 4 at 257. It is insane. The jungler that went for a solo clear of Olaf just happened today in Rogue versus G2, and he hit level 4 at minute 3:15, 18 seconds earlier. Now Cloud9 loses this fight, but they could have actually won it since there was no ward for Licorice to TP, yet he had priority, and when he got there, he missed his shock blast. But that didn't stop Blabber. He went back to the same pathing and actually hits the dragon on spawn. Look at the little map right there. He finishes it at 520, but he starts it as soon as it comes up. So he goes, finishes the dragon, goes back to Krugs, and then continues to farm. He's gonna go try the Rift Herald at minute 8, but look at what happens. He backs off. Why? Because Niski's not there. He has no priority in the lanes. He goes back to the jungle, waits for his team to get there to try the Rift Herald again. When he does, he finds Centauran, and he can easily take this fight because everybody else is backing him up. The Nautilus and LeBlanc are gonna be here with him. He uses that buff, quickly recall, continue to farm, and by now he has a completed jungle item, cloth armor, a level up on Centauran, and he's not scared to walk up into the river against this 2v2 combo because guess what? He's got priority in the mid lane. Niski can collapse faster than FlyQuest's Power of Evil. He easily wins this fight, and as a result of this fight, Cloud9 goes from an 1,800 gold deficit, swings it, and has now a 1,000 gold advantage and gets a second dragon. That really shows you how this team plays around Blabber. It's not just that he's really good, it's that he plays with priority, and when you leave him to his own devices, he power farms so freaking fast. You try power clearing on Olaf and tell me what times you're hitting, because 257 is just peak performance. It's MVP performance.
I haven't tried it, but I know you have, Crumbs. I think you said you tried to do the fastest solo clear with an Olaf that you could, and you weren't necessarily close.
Yeah, I was hitting like 303 to 305, but that is like really sweating. Like I had to put in a lot of games together because you cannot cancel any autos. You have to leash perfectly every single camp, and it is something that you really need to train. I talked to him a little bit earlier, and that is exactly how he gains a lot of the advantages, just being able to clear camps faster than his opponents.
Yeah, it's something that isn't practiced enough. It's just the actual clear paths. Like he is able to get there so much earlier by knowing exactly how much damage you can take on Olaf, someone who benefits with those small optimizations. And I think it's something that he does have a leg up on the advantage on.
The Honda MVP showing us why he deserves that accolade, a mastery over the jungle and specifically that champion Olaf, but supported by an incredible team. One other matchup that I want to zero in on, it's the one that you called out, Prawley, up there in the top lane. We have Licorice. You know, the expectation is that this guy will smash the majority of his opponents. Up here against Kumo, who, in all honesty, was somewhat of a forgotten name throughout spring, but has slowly ramped up to deliver statistics like that 9.0 KDA.
Yeah, I'll say a little caveat to the KDA was their perfect game against CLG. Definitely boosted that. But yeah, Kumo's been great. I think when he first started on C9, he was kind of a carry player. And then in this last spring, he had a really rough time finding his spot. But this summer, I think he's coming in trying to be that rock, which is something Licorice talks about all the time when he mentions top lane. He's like, yeah, top lane's got to be solid, got to be that rock. And I think Kumo's trying to slot into that little spot as well as he can for the split.
Well, C9 EG is in that premier slot game 3 of the day. Mark, final thoughts on it?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's really cool to see Kumo stepping up just because he was one of the hyped young talents coming out of North America, going through scouting grounds and all these different things that C9 was able to kind of give an opportunity to on their academy team. And I want to see him continue to be given resources in EG the same way that Licorice and some other players have been when they got their starts.
Well, there you have it. Now we're going to turn our attention towards game 1 of the day. We've got Team Liquid facing off against 100 Thieves, where I'm looking to grab some win conditions. So, Crumbs, we're coming to you first for the side of Team Liquid.
Okay, so I got 2 win conditions for these guys, and then they're all based on their confidence in this game. So the week of scrims would have been really important for them. The first one, if you're feeling really confident, just pick a stronger mid 2v2 and pick on the Meteos Ryoma synergy. We already have a template for how Cloud9 pulled this off, and it's clear that they still need to work on it. Now, if you're not feeling very confident, pull the same move you did against Golden Guardians. Pick that Trundle. Just go for hyper scaling, and then you'll win team fights just because you have these veterans that are able to find those opportunities to win fights that you have no business winning. I'm looking at Impact's Mordekaiser as a really good way of setting apart these compositions that 100 Thieves might pick and just making sure that you hit the late game and you win.
Crumbs, I'm liking this evolution of win conditions. It's a choose your own adventure for the teams. Look, I'll give you 2 different options depending on your mental state coming into the game. Well, that's for Team Liquid. Mark, you've got 100 Thieves.
Yeah, just keep giving them all their options so that
Right.
you're never wrong. I'm giving the specific ones. Innovate in the top lane. I know Prophet Crumbs on Countdown yesterday was talking about, oh, top lane doesn't matter. It does matter, and that's the whole problem with North America is we treat it like it's only tanks up there. Wukong is the second highest presence top laner in the LCK now as well. He's played everywhere except North America. You cannot tell me some days not able to play it. I think you can get an advantage here against Impact, who can be a little slow learning new champs. Or Volibear, innovate in the top lane, get an advantage up there. That's your best player. Also, pick Trundle for Meteos. It's kind of the easiest champ to play right now, and we've seen Broxa play it both games in a row, so that's a takeaway and a power pick for Meteos to get the legs underneath him. And I think those are the two key areas where you do have advantages potentially over TL.
Well, Mark, you called on the Prophet Crumbs, so I'm going to do the same. It's prediction time for the three of you. Unfortunately, the perfect prediction rate was broken yesterday, but I believe Crumbs still leads the pack just barely. Thoughts on our 4 matchups today and who will be the winners? Only one difference lies in Game 2 with the FlyQuest call from Mark Z.
Did you
over
make the
Crumbs and Probably.
FlyQuest call when you knew MASH was getting subbed in?
No, I didn't, but I'm going to pretend I did and say that I just have a lot of confidence in PoE.
Okay, so Power, you think that regardless of Mash's performance, the win condition there will be how PoE does?
Yeah, I think I didn't really think Turtle was playing, like we already talked about, fantastic. Anyways, he didn't feel like their priority player. They didn't give him a ton of resources. They didn't play around him, and so I think that'll stay true. And the reason that I expected FlyQuest to win would still be the reasons I expect them to win, though I am a little bit more concerned about with Doublelift having a pop-off performance yesterday.
Now, understanding that CLG's opponent, Dignitas, today has been struggling as of yet, currently at 0-2, I think it's pretty telling that all three of you jumped right onto the CLG train so quickly here with the predictions based on how they performed in spring. You want to defend that?
Yeah, I'd like to remind you guys that when the LCS stock market went, I all-in on
It's
CLG stocks, and now you guys are all signing
You
with me.
predicted them to lose yesterday.
Listen,
can't-
I'm hedging my bets. Mark figured out that if I just do 2 win conditions on 2 different consequences, I can be right no matter what. It's the same
There
thing.
it is. We figured him out. Cover all your bases. All right, well, now that we have covered all of our bases, it's time for us to send it over to the casters for Game 1. Freak and Kobe, take it away.